Okay, hello. Yeah, I think we are time now, so let's get started. Everyone, welcome to this session of the CET 15.5 QA testing guide. My name is Yi Heng. I'm a QA analyst in Configura. So for this session, we will have two presenters, myself and my colleague, Brian.
Hi everyone, I'm Brian, based in the KL office. So today we're going to be walking you through the testing guide for the CT 15.5 release.
All right. Yeah, so I will start with my part of the guide, and then Brian will continue with the rest of the content. So we will have a Q&A session in the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions regarding the testing, you can use the session later to voice out your questions, or you can also make use of the chat. Yeah, and put your question in it, and we will answer them later in the Q&A session. Okay, so let's get started. So before I start going through the changes on the CET 15.5 migration, so please take note in the following. Do check with your developers if they have done the migration changes on the extensions before starting the testing. Okay, so for changes in the extensions, what I will cover on my end is first about the save, load, and open dialog, and then changes on the materials with the Material Explorer improvements. And then I'll cover two things on the order export. One of it is the individual tag is not exported in the OFDA XML, and the next one is the OL code output removed from the Configura CIF export. Okay, so move on to the first change in this new CET 15.5. So there's a new checkbox in the control panel in the data management with the options to save your backup next to drawing. Yeah, so for the convenience, user can now choose to save the auto backup files in the file path the same as where the drawing is saved. So with this will save some clicks while navigating without this checkbox present. So yeah, in this screenshot, you can see that this new section added under the auto backup and data management. So you have this preferred auto backup location and the new button added, which you can select next to drawing. Yeah, which will save your backup in the same location as your drawing. So with this, we would like to recommend some testing instruction. So first, using your existing drawing, try making a save using next to drawing checkbox tick in the auto backup section in control panel. So prior to this, you might want to remember where you save your drawings. Yeah, and then when this is configured, the backup files should be created in the same file path as the drawing file. Also verify that a CT backup folder will be created with the backup files saved inside. Yeah, and then in CET, go to File, Recent Drawing, View Backups, and Autosaves. A dialog should open comprising of all the backup files, and make sure that the backup files created in the configured file path can be opened without issues. Okay, move on to the next change. this is related to materials, which we have the Material Explorer improvement. So the Material Explorer has been improved, and now it has the ability to segregate between the default CET materials, manufacturer's materials, and also my materials. So this provides quicker and easier access to the different types of materials, and at the same time improving the performance of the entire dialog. And it is also now more responsive and loads the material faster. So you might be wondering how to get your manufacturer's material to show up in this tab. So on the previous, in this window, simply click on the material folders on the bottom left. And then make sure that the folders is redirected to the file path consisting your manufacturer's material. So the materials folder configured in manufacturer's defined material folder will show up in manufacturer materials, and the materials folder configured in the user defined material folder section will show up in my materials. And with this, we would like to suggest to look out for the following. So follow the guide. The manufacturers need to verify that their materials will load in the respective tabs. By redirecting the path to material folders registered in catalogs or in their extensions. And also verify the material correctness by applying them to your manufacturer product in the drawing. Okay. So following will be one of the two order export related changes. The first one is regarding the individual tags is not exported in the OFDA XML. So developer has fixed a problem with the ODFA XML export type that will exclude the individual tag code in the previous version. So this has now been fixed in the latest CET version. So the code of the individual tags carries the individual tags of the manufacturer's product, for information. So in the calculation, it's fall under the individual tags column. So with this, we would recommend to load or create a drawing with your manufacturer's products, perform the order export of the type OFDA XML in the calculation dialog. And then following that, load the exported XML into a worksheet, specs, or any other pricing software that can view the XML, and verify the individual tag information is accurate against the manufacturer's product placed in the drawing space. Okay, so move on to the second changes of the order export. This is related to the OL code output removed from configure sift. So exporting a configure sift without manufacturer-specific export will no longer export the code OL, which is the option list price for a product. So referring to this screenshot, if this is unchecked, it will not export the code OL. This dialog resides inside the settings button in the order export dialog. So the code OL right now has been replaced with O1. And in the future, manufacturers will be responsible for removing the code OL in their respective CIF export. So what to check with this? So firstly, load or create a drawing with your manufacturer product. Perform an order export of the type configure-CIF. Yeah, choose the export format configure-CIF and in the calculation dialog. And then open the settings dialog box and make sure use manufacturer specific export is not checked. Yeah, it's not selected. Then after that, load the exported XML into a worksheet, spec, or any other software that can view pricing and verify the option list of the 001 code is carried over. Yeah, it was OL before, and right now it should show O1. All right, that ends my part of the presentation, and now we'll move to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gihan. So I'm Brian, and I will be taking over the rest of the presentation. Allow me to share my screen. Okay. So I will be doing the second half of the presentation. So without further ado, let's start. Okay, so for the first part, I will be going through the changes on extension. Now, the first one would be materials, which is a fix regarding customer-owned materials, core materials not applied immediately. And the second one would be categorization, tags, and visibility. Okay, so for the first part, this is related to materials. Now, developers fix an issue with customer-owned materials not applying automatically when the COM material has been created. So after you have created a COM material, it does not get applied onto the products immediately. And as you can see in this animation here, I created a COM product, all right? And this is after the fix. As you create a COM product, it should overwrite your previous COM product that has been applied. As you can see here, I have the old COM product here. I'm creating a new one, and it should overwrite and apply. So the previous behavior retains it, and it does not get applied as you create a new one. Now, this causes an inconvenience as users would want that immediate reflection of that new COM material that he or she has created. And with this, it's very important to make sure that your manufacturer COM materials work as before. Now, using any of these manufacturer products, create and apply a COM material on a product, then repeat creation of COM material for a couple more times. Every time when you create a COM material, the catch here is to ensure that it should apply immediately and reflect on the product itself. And while you're at it, ensuring that there are no regression defects, make sure the COM materials are as accurate as before. Okay, so on to the next one. This is related to categorization, tags, visibility. Now here, developers has refactored codes, mainly for code cleanup and for code efficiency. Now, this is done to the view modes panel class, which affects categorization, tags, and visibility feature in CET. Now, no known changes or improvements have been introduced. You should not see anything that is new, which is why it is important to make sure that you follow these test instructions to make sure that there are no new behaviors or any bugs introduced. So create or load your desired drawing into CT. It could be existing drawings that you have. Check that manufacturer view modes, if you have any, it works flawlessly and still has the correct intended visibility when you're switching between different view modes. And it's also very good to check new and existing custom view modes with manufacturer tags, if you have any. Your manufacturer categories has the correct visibility. And the basic functionalities such as renaming, cloning, your custom view modes still work as before. You can try to clone your manufacturer view mode and it should work as before. And you should also try editing custom view modes by assigning to different text category. Try to switch it up a little bit and try to make sure it works accordingly. Now note that there are still some minor known issues related to usability. It doesn't block the functionality around visibility and view modes, which is being worked on internally. So currently there are still some very, very minor known issues, work in progress. So if you come across any, please contact devsupport@configure.com for assistance. Okay, so moving on, I'll be going through the CT 15.5 new features. Now, the first one would be related to materials again. And now we have a new COM legend, customer materials COM legend. And after that, I'll be talking a little bit about user interface, which is the CT facelift. Okay, now the first new feature is related to materials. And what is new? So here I have these three products here, these three chairs, these seatings. And in the middle, I created a COM material for it. And notice how I place a material legend from the abstract office. Now this is from the FICA office extension. You can see now that the COM, it is also shown in the material legends. Now that's right. Now COM material is now available in the material legend in the abstract office. Now it is defaulted to sort to show COMs first, then your catalog materials. And what more? If you click on it, you have these quick properties where you can hide and show these different columns. And that includes the description, the ID code, the enterprise. Now, all of this, it can be configured in your COM dialog while you're creating the COM material. And if you would like to, you want to have a separate material legend for only for COMs and another one for the catalog materials, you could do that as well. You just simply have to simply just apply a filter. So this material legend would only show COM materials. And you can have a separate one for your catalog materials if you would like to. Okay, so next up, we have user interface, which is related to CT facelift. Now, this is the top of the town. Now, please be informed that in CT 15.5, CT will start up in the facelifted user interface by default. But if you don't like it, you can still switch between the old and new one. You can just flick the toggle. And also, please be informed that classic UI would be made obsolete in CT 16.0 next year in 2025. And it's very important that we want to make sure all of the manufacturers have the consistent experience across, which is why it is very important to ensure it looks good on your end. Now, here are some basic user interface checks that you could perform on your manufacturer extension. Now, after you have updated to CET 15.5, CET facelift will start up by default. And in the facelifted CET, please check that the text should not be clipped, as potentially it might be clipped due to auto-sizing of the new font size in the facelift. Now, a clipped text would look something like this. As you can see here, the letter P and G is clipped. So you will not want something like this. And it's important to check on your manufacturer extension. Next up, please check the dialogues with and without the tabs. So this is an example of a calculation dialog. Now, if you happen to have a manufacturer-specific feature or a function that opens up a dialog that has many different tabs, all right, please make sure to switch between tabs, and it should not end up like this. Okay, the text should not be cropped. And this is another example as well. So if you have a manufacturer dialog, you switch between different tabs. It shows different cards, comprises of content, and it's very important to make sure, again, the listing should not be cropped. The listing here. This looks really bad here, so you wouldn't want something like this. Okay, now on to the reminder. Here I'm going to be going through 3 different areas, which is the first one would be new extension toolbox adoption. The second one would be core schemes retirement. And the third one would be performance. Okay, now to complete the CT facelift look across, we are introducing a new refresh look for extension toolboxes. Now, we highly recommend manufacturers to adopt to transform your awesome manufacturer extension to look even better. It will give you that refresh look for sure. Well, this is not a must, but it is highly recommended to be in line with the CT facelift look. You can also refer to the QA testing guide for adoption guideline and for testing guidelines after you have adopted. So if you want to get started, you can go ahead and refer to the QA testing guide. There are links to the related documents below. Now, what I mean by the new extension toolbox adoption. So again, I'm going to be taking FICA Office as an example. Now, this is how it's going to look like. All right, so this is a sneak peek of the facelifted FICA Office extension. It is not yet released, but we have a prototype and it will look something like this. Now, on the left is the old one, on the right is the new one. And the main extension tab, which has the products, would show like this. Now, notice how we make use of the feature tabs. So you can switch between cards, and that would save you extension toolboxes. You will not need to have many extension toolboxes, too many toolboxes just to show different items. You can now integrate them into one extension toolbox and have them be shown by switching to different tabs. So this is how it will look like. On the left, it is the old one, and on the right, it is the new one. Okay, next up, this is related to core schemes, which is phasing out. Now, as you may have heard, we're actually in the works and discussion of phasing out the core schemes, the old core schemes in 2025. Now, what will happen is in 2025, the codes to the core schemes will be deprecated. So for manufacturers that does not migrate to the prop scheme, which is the new one, would have to carry out self-maintenance in 2025 onwards. Now, with this, we are highly encouraging our manufacturers who are on core schemes to migrate as soon as possible. Now, again, on the right, this is how core scheme looks like. The prop schemes, sorry. Now, if you're on prop schemes, it should look like this. So if you see this, it means you have migrated to prop schemes. Now, after you have migrated to prop schemes, we actually have a prop scheme testing guide that we've prepared. So you know what to look out for and make sure all of these schemes functionality still work. Now, the prop scheme testing guide, it is also available in the QA testing guide. So all you have to do is to visit our latest QA testing guide. All of the information will be there in the article. Now, if you're about to migrate from prop scheme from core schemes to prop schemes, and you have any questions, please contact devsupport@configure.com. We will help you with that. Now, lastly, performance tests. Now, performance plays a very important part that affects CET usability experience. So every time when you have updated to a latest version of the CET, as we add more enhancement and more features in the later CET versions, so we take very strict consideration in terms of performance. Now, with that said, we want to make sure that all of our manufacturers carry out basic performance tests just to make sure they are not affected. Now, these are some really basic performance tests that you can do. You open up Task Manager and you make sure there's no memory leak. And if you want CET startup, this is a tip. You can turn off unused extensions and CET will start up faster. Now, how do you carry out maybe basic memory leak tests? You open up Task Manager on Windows. Now, this is a shortcut key for you to fire it up. You look for cetdesigner.exe under Processes tab. All you have to do is to make sure that memory consumption is not maxed out. And you can also compare the figures between the old and new CET if you like to. Now, again, in performance, you can also carry out some basic actions, some basic performance testing on the basic actions that you can do in CET. For this, you can use Response Monitor. Now, in order to have Response Monitor, you should have the QA Tools license. Now, with Response Monitor, you can compare between the old and the new CET version. Now, with this tool, these are some basic actions that you can execute using your manufacturer products. With this tool, you can trace the time taken for each of these actions. Again, if you have any issues regarding performance, please report to devsupport@configure.com. Okay, this comes to the end of the webinar. Do note that the recording of this session will be posted in the guide. Now, if you have any questions related to testing, please reach out to us at QAsupport@configure.com. And there will also be migration workshops where we discuss over development and testing concerns. If you have a question related to testing or during your migration, please join these sessions. I have a schedule right here, and we will be happy to answer all of your concerns. Yep, I think that's it. And let me just quickly go through the latest testing guide. So this has been posted on Configure Help Center. So please feel free to visit. And let me just quickly scroll through to the CET facelift section. Now, if you're looking to adopt your manufacturer extension to use the latest user interface, here are some related documents that you can visit. Now, this is the guideline, and this is the testing guideline. Okay, so this is the design guideline. So it tells you the do's and the don'ts. And after you have adopted, please visit the testing guidelines. It is a Word document, and these are some things that you should check. Yep, that's all from me. Do you have anything to add on top, Yihe?
Nope, I'm good.
Yep. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat, or you can reach out to us at QAsupport@configure.com. But before we end the session, are there any more thoughts that you have? Nope. Yep. Thank you so much for attending this session of the CET 15.5 testing focus areas. Now, see you again in the CET 16.0 testing focus areas. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.